If you're a high-earning Filipino professional and you've tried budgeting, but it still doesn't stick, this is for you. Because a budget is just a written plan where you tell money what to do instead of wondering where it went. And like every good plan, it doesn't fail because it's poorly designed. It fails because it doesn't get implemented consistently. So here's the secret I tell clients all the time. Don't try to be consistent at everything all at once. Be consistent at step one. That one step that makes the rest almost automatic. And step one when implementing your budget is simple. Position the money properly by moving it into the right accounts the moment you get paid. You see, when your money lives in one account, everything mixed up there, your goals, your bills, your fund money, your buffers, discipline will break down. But when your money has lanes, different accounts with clear jobs, your spending and saving start behaving without you tracking a single receipt. In this episode, I'll show you the exact 4 account setup and the one transfer routine that makes implementation manageable even during busy weeks. You'll still enjoy your money. This isn't deprivation after all, it's structure. By the end, you'll have a clean account mapping and a simple payday move you can run immediately so your budget stops being a good idea and starts becoming your default. Here's a quick companion tool before you build more buckets. Download our insurance audit playbook. Link is in the description or show notes. Insurance is one of those biggest fixed expenses for high responsibility households. If that line item is bloated, then hey, your budget will feel tight no matter how good your account system is. Okay, now let's build your account structure. Let's start by discussing why one big account where everything is stored fails busy, high responsibility households. You see, having all your money kept in one big account, like your payroll account, creates false signals. You look at your balance and it says, ang dami ko palang pera. But the balance doesn't tell you what that money is already for. So what happens? You accidentally spend from next month's tuition money, or you spend from your annual renewals, or you spend from your travel fund without meaning to, or let's say a car repair suddenly steals from your goals, and then you're back to guessing and adjusting. A single account system forces you into constant on-the-spot decision making like, can I really afford this? Is this safe? What's coming next month? If I do this now, what will get delayed? That's not just money stress, that's decision fatigue. And high income can make this worse, not better, because there are more moving parts. You have multiple cards and payment schedules, more irregular expenses, more family and lifestyle events, more opportunities to spend for convenience, and the list goes on. So the real issue is not a lack of discipline. It's that your money has no lanes. So think of the last time you felt surprised by spending. What happened? Was it that a repair stole from savings? Or travel stole from a goal? Or a family obligation pushed out investing? Or annual fees hitting and suddenly the month felt off? Whatever it is, ask yourself, what category stole from what? That's exactly what separate account lanes prevent. You don't need more discipline. You need lanes. And so let's talk about the 4 account system. Now, let me be clear. The labels for these can vary. You can name them however you want, but what matters is the logic. Certain types of money deserve their own parking space, their own lanes, so they don't get mixed, raided, or forgotten. Here are the 4 account types we use in our budgeting method in Beacon. Number 1, areas of misbehavior. Keep money for areas in which you misbehave completely separate from everything else. These are categories where spending gets emotional or convenience driven. They're not necessarily bad spending, just the categories that tend to drift so easily for us. Categories like maybe dining out or food deliveries, shopping, online purchases, budol. Convenience spending that happens when you're tired. Now, why do these areas of misbehavior deserve an account? One for each of them if there are many? Because you need a boundary you can feel in real time. You won't need to track receipts. You just need to check the balance in those accounts and know, okay, this is my lane. I only spend up to the amount that I see in that account. Second thing that merits its own account in your budget are goals. Now, these are named targets with a purpose, each of them with its own account, like maybe a house down payment, or money for your kids' education fund, or a travel fund, or let's say a business fund if you want to put up a business. Now, why do these goals deserve an account? It's because your goals need protection from lifestyle creep because your lifestyle, especially when it increases, will automatically, inevitably eat from your goals. So if goals stay inside the main account with everything else, they get quietly raided, cannibalized by your spending. Third, seasonal big expenses. The third thing that merits its own account are seasonal big expenses, or what I simply call seasonal bigs. These expenses are the predictable types. You know they're coming, but they don't happen every month. There are certain big months where these expenses normally hit you, like tuition months or enrollment, Christmas and gift seasons, birthdays, weddings, family events, annual renewals for your insurance, memberships, car registration, or travel season. Now, why do seasonal bigs deserve their own account? Because this is the number one reason monthly budgets collapse. These seasonal bigs suddenly get a whole chunk out of the cash that you thought you had available to spend. These accounts, therefore, remove surprise months. Finally, we have our unexpected but inevitable expenses, which I simply call your UBs. These are things that are inevitable. You know they're going to happen sometime. You just don't know when. Things like repairs and replacements, like that of your aircon, your car's tires, appliances at home, and so on. Maybe they are medical gaps, like you know that your child will get sick. It's just a matter of when. Or your pet might get sick. It's just a matter of when. Car or home maintenance, device replacements when needed. These things deserve their own account because UBIs are the reason people keep relying on credit cards even when income is good. An UBI lane, therefore, turns panic spending into a planned, calm fund. Now, UBI accounts really have saved my wife and I so much in terms of stress. We run a household with 3 children and a dog. And sometimes kids get sick, pets get sick, and we end up spending an arm and a leg just for their medical care. Without our healthcare UBI account and our pet care UBI account, we would have had so many instances where we'd have to draw from our credit card just to bridge the gap for those unexpected but inevitable spending. But thanks to our UBI accounts, whenever these things happened, they were absorbed by our cash buffers. So here's how you do this fast. No overthinking. Number one, write down 4 headings: misbehavior, goals, seasonal bigs, and UBIs. Number 2, under each heading, list 1 to 3 items from your real life. And just keep it simple. For example, just to make it concrete, for misbehavior, you can probably put dining out, food deliveries. For goals, you can put there travel fund or investing top up. For seasonal bigs, you have maybe tuition months and Christmas. And for UBI, you can have car maintenance or medical gaps. Third, if you're starting simple, start with seasonal bigs plus UBIs first. Those two remove the most surprises and reduce the most stress quickly. Quick reminder, before you start creating your accounts, make sure your fixed expenses aren't quietly bloated, especially your insurance. Download the Insider's Insurance Audit Playbook. The link is in the description or show notes. And any savings you can find when you optimize your insurance portfolio can directly fund your goals or seasonal bigs or UBI accounts and make this whole system feel easier. All right, back to the system. Let's look at the allowance method that Beacon recommends and how to live it without tracking receipts. This is the part that makes the system livable. The allowance method is how you make variable spending behave without micromanaging. So here's the method. Look for those areas of misbehavior or pain points in your spending. These are usually variable expenses that vary from month to month, and they're fairly regular, so they cause problems every now and then. The first thing you need to do is to separate in your mind the event of variably disbursing the money towards those things from the event of allocating a budget for them. Those two things must be divorced from your mind. They are two separate events. The misbehavior happens when you're disbursing the money, and it's usually variable, right? But the control happens with how fixed you allocate for that in your budget. So here's the method. You have to decide on that fixed amount that you will dedicate into your bucket for that item. Then, plot it on your budget. Second, Transfer that amount into a dedicated bucket or account whenever you get your income. And then third, just spend freely inside the boundary of that account. And no cheating with your credit card. That's it. The reason this works is actually simple. You stop asking, did I overspend this week? And you start asking, what does my balance allow? Now, this reduces guilt and reduces admin work because you don't have to track a single receipt to maintain control. You simply check balances and you follow simple rules, and you'll see that control, that discipline will still happen, and you'll have fun along the way. So, start small. Don't try to perfect your whole life. Well, for one, pick your top 1 or 2 areas of misbehavior. Most people start with dining out and shopping. That's how we started with my wife, dining out. We just fixed one area first. And then second, set an allowance amount that's realistic. Not necessarily your best self fantasy, just a real life number that's honest enough. And third, create 3 rules. Rule number 1 is the no top up rule. If it runs out, it runs out. Unless it's a true exception you define in advance. For example, maybe you can do that for a family emergency meal versus just random cravings. Rule number 2, the what counts, what doesn't rule. Clarify what counts toward the allowance. For example, work-related meals may be separate, but convenience cravings are inside that allowance. The point is, reduce that internal debate that goes on when you're still thinking about which is which and how much can be put here versus the other account. Rule number 3, the weekly check rule. It only takes 2 minutes. Here's how to do it. On the same day each week, you check balances. That's it. You just review how much you have in your balances, and that's how much you can continue to spend for the rest of the month. You don't even need to open up a spreadsheet, just a quick scan. You're not restricting yourself by doing so. You're pre-deciding what your money will do for you. Next, I'd like to talk about the funding rhythm, how you actually run this system. Most budgets fail because there's no rhythm. Even a great system collapses if it depends on your daily attention. Busy professionals do not need daily budgeting, however. They need a system that runs on 2 to 3 moments per month, and that's going to be fine. You only need a few transfer moments, maybe even one, not constant monitoring. You're too busy for that, right? So here's how to go about it. Option A, you can go with a payday rhythm. So this is very busy professional friendly. So when salary hits your main account, well, fund your goals first to protect your priorities. Then fund your seasonal bigs plus your ubis next to remove future surprises. And then you fund your areas of misbehavior last, either weekly or per payday. And that sequence matters. Priorities first, stability second, lifestyle third. Or you can go for option B, the 2-move month. Move number 1 is during payday. Move number 2 might be some mid-month top-up, let's say for certain allowances or seasonal/ubi expenses if needed. And then weekly, you can have a 2-minute balance check. Now, if your bank allows scheduled transfers, I suggest you use it. The point is that the system runs even when you're tired, busy, or traveling. Automation isn't a hack. It's actually what makes good intentions happen. Finally, let me talk about a bit of troubleshooting so that the system works in real life. Let's make this realistic. Here's what usually goes wrong. Your allowance always runs out before the month ends. Either the amount is too low or your lifestyle isn't matched to your plan. Or seasonal big expenses still surprise you because you didn't annualize or you didn't start funding early enough. Third, ubis keep breaking your system. That means your ubi fund is too thin or you might be dipping into it for non-ubi spending. Or fourth, you have too many accounts and it becomes messy because people tend to overbuild, and then when it's so unwieldy, they abandon it. So maybe you can start with 3 to 5 buckets max. Then just add later only as needed. Now, if your allowance runs out 2 weeks in a row, maybe you can increase your allowance slightly or tighten the rule. You reduce what counts against it. Now, if a seasonal month goes negative, then maybe you need to calculate your target for next time, divided by the number of months remaining, and start funding your budget now. If your accounts feel messy, maybe you can merge categories. You can keep the logic but simplify the labels. So instead of having 3 or 4 different categories for things that pertain to the upkeep of the house, maybe you can have a generic household petty cash fund. You see, the goal isn't complexity, but the goal is a structure you will still follow when life gets busy. Now, here's a quick 4-account starter blueprint that you can do today. First, write down your 4 headings: areas of misbehavior, goals, seasonal bigs, and UBIs. Choose your starting 2 accounts. Maybe seasonal and UBI are often the easiest and most impactful. Third, decide 1 allowance category and amount. Fourth, set 2 transfer days. And fifth, set 1 weekly 2-minute check. I can personally attest, and many of my clients do too, that once they did this simple account system, their finances transformed virtually overnight. And it's not because the plan got better. No, it's because execution got better. It's because misbehavior stopped because of a behavioral solution. We ran a system. If you want a quick fixed cost cleanup that can instantly give your budgeting system more breathing room, then download the Insider's Insurance Audit Playbook. The link is in the description or show notes. Next week is a mindset shift. Your budget isn't the problem, it's how you run it. I'll show you the simple rhythms that make this stick. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast, check the description or show notes for the Money Systems for High Earners budgeting playlist so you can follow this whole system step by step. I'm Juan Casas from Beacon Wealth Advisory. See you in our next episode.